Buckeye Talk back at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center after practice number 4 of the spring for Ohio State football. I'm Nathan Baird from cleveland.com along with Stephen Means. We're talking to defensive linemen today, defensive ends, defensive tackles, and I think one of the big topics of conversation among Ohio State fans right now is what's the next step for J.T. Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer. Obviously, Sawyer had a huge spring last year, was really coming along, was exciting people, had the big breakout spring game, and then over the course of the year, he was there, he was involved, but it didn't have a major impact. And by contrast, J.T. Tuimoloau didn't get here until July and ended up being a starter at times and a big part of the rotation. So sort of the question that I think these guys are getting asked today is, like, what's the next step for you guys? And with Tuimoloau, there was a lot of talk about, why he was able to get out in front of things, but at the same time, how important this spring can still be for him, how much he can still accomplish this spring, and the development he's made in the winter with Mickey Marotti and that sort of thing. Just as you look at it, Stephen, knowing him from the athletic background he had coming in, how much of a jump do you think he can make in this sophomore year?
Big jump. I'm not going to say All-American jump because that's just kind of silly to throw that out there in March. But I do think it's going to be – I think the production – we saw the impact. I think now that he's gotten his Mick Marotti's gotten his hands on him, Larry Johnson gets him in the spring. He has a normal offseason where he's not flying all over the country trying to take visits this summer. I think we're going to see the statistical production along with the impact that you just see when you look at it from an eye test standpoint. That's on the table for him. I mean, we got him today, and he physically already looks a lot different than he did the first time we talked to him. Honestly, even like the last time we talked to him right before the Rose Bowl. So of all the the 2021 guys who had an impact in 2021 as true freshmen, he might take the biggest jump just because he's getting to have this advantage of having things he didn't have 9 months ago. Because a year ago at this time, he wasn't even a Buckeye yet. He was still uncommitted going to his visits while everybody else was already here on campus going through spring football.
Yeah, and Ryan Day said earlier this week that they explained that to Tuimoloau and his family that, hey, we take all the time you need. They were supportive of that decision, but you're probably going to be behind when you come in as a freshman. But the family heard that, put together a plan, and he comes in a little bit ahead of time. But now he's got kind of the rust knocked off and the freshman jitters out of the way. I think is actually a better way to say that because there was no rust because he got here so late. He was very green. He was brand new. He was right out of the box, and he worked right out of the box for the most part. So I think you're right. I think that he may have the highest potential for a big jump here as a sophomore. And for Jack Sawyer, he did really dominate at times in that spring game, and I think that really had people thinking, well, he's going to come in right away. It's going to look easy for him. He's going to take things over, and it's not that easy. You have to be able to do it consistently, and that was the thing that he brought up today was that freshman year is like such a grind. It was like the longest football experience that he'd ever been through, which is true for all the freshmen, the true freshmen when they're come in, especially the ones who get to play. Remember how rare that can actually be sometimes that freshmen get to play at all, and that the thing that he is trying to take into this second year and into this winter and into this spring, things he can work on right now is just the consistency of it, being able to repeat your performance down after down after down.
Yeah, I think that's the significant difference between him and JT is JT was physically ready to play college football, which is impressive in his part, but also his body makeup is like that. Jack Sawyer, not so much. I think he has the tools, the skill set, obviously, because when you commit so early and you spend every summer on campus working with Larry Johnson, the hand-fighting techniques are already there. But he said he came in at 232 last year, and he's up to 260, which is – yeah, that's what you have to play at in the Big Ten in order to stop the run. You can't just be an elite pass rusher in the Big Ten. You have to be able to stop the run, and that was something that was a bit of a struggle for him. Because if you saw, all his flashes came on passing downs when he was out there getting sacks, but he would also struggle against the run. And so now that he's up physically, he's up 30 pounds, which, wow. Let's see how that translates in year 2. Can he make that jump now that he's combining the pass rushing, hand fighting techniques, and he can stop the run? And now we're probably going to see him move up the depth chart this year.
I thought he was already as big as a house, but adding 30 pounds is intriguing to say the least. We're going to have much more to say about the defensive line on the Buckeye Talk podcast, and get the text 614-350-3315 where we're sending you the intel that we hear here at practice right after it comes out of their mouths from Buckeye Talk.